This is Donald Wade, FTE211 Module 7. Today's date is 1/7/February 2025. So one thing I want to do is I want to get a baseline trigger pull test to see where this is at as of right now before we start really getting into polishing and stuff like that. So I've got my Wheeler digital trigger gauge. Everything is zeroed out. What I've done is I've taken a piece of Velcro, wrapped it around to engage the grip safety. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I put this finger, if you will, in the center of the trigger. And I'm going to pull straight back until it breaks. So right there we're at 5 pounds 6.5 ounces. So we'll do a three pull average. So we'll go for pull number 2. We got 5 pounds 6 ounces. Or 5 pounds 7.6 ounces, sorry. We'll do one more and get the average. We got 5 pounds 5.5 ounces. So our average is going to be 5 pounds and 7 ounces for a 5 pounds 6.5 ounces for a 3 pull average. Next we'll go disassemble. We will start looking at polishing parts. Generally speaking, trigger jobs would be done to allow the handgun to function better, more reliable. You've got gritty trigger tracks or a trigger bow. You want that positive or neutral sear engagement. So you've got different types of shooters as well. You've got your competition shooters. You've got concealed carry guys. So you have to determine the best type of trigger job for that particular situation. Whatever that duty is for that pistol, that's what you're going to tailor that trigger job to. Generally, for a 1911, anywhere from, I would say, 3.5, 4 pounds would be okay for just about anything. And it's not that difficult to achieve when you have the gunsmiths and tools available. A lot of it can be done just by simply polishing, which we'll do here on the trigger bow as well as the disconnect. We'll get going on that here in just a second. But first, I want to talk about what constitutes improper trigger jobs and what problems can occur. Basically, the inexperience, thinking you kind of know what's going on and you really don't. The lack of inner working knowledge of the particular firearm that you're doing a trigger job for, or any kind of trigger work that can result in a safety issue. You can take off too much material and not know how to fix it. You can mess up the geometry of the sear, for example. There's a lot of different things that you can screw up if you're not paying attention to what you're doing. And again, that goes back to inexperience or just not having the knowledge of what's going on. So we'll flip around and we'll get started on going through the components and you know, polishing. Um, and you know, the jigs, you can have sear to hammer jigs. You can have um, you know, there's a jig really out there for anything dealing with 1911. Everything from front strap checkering jigs to like I said, sear and hammer jigs. You know, and they make, you've got trigger stirrups, you know, for working to straighten out trigger bow and stuff like that. But there's a lot of tools that make the job easier, but you have to know how to use those tools. Um, I don't have a lot of those. Um, you know, and again, it's a lot of taking it slow and checking and rechecking and verifying your work constantly. So we'll get back around here and we'll take a look at this. So what I'm going to work on polishing here is I'm going to work on this trigger bow. And I noticed when I broke this thing down and I pulled it apart, I've got a little nick here on the finish. I don't know if the camera will be able to pick that up. It's on that corner. So what I'm going to do is up here to where the bend is, I think I'm going to, I've got popsicle sticks, various grits. What I got, you know, 1500, 2000, 600, 400, and 3000. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take probably 600. I'm going to hit it here. What I want to do is I want to get rid of this coating on both sides as well as the back. And then another thing I want to check is I want to make sure that the trigger bow goes around the magazine and there's no issues on there for that. I would do the inside as well. All I'm going to do is run a polishing pad on it on the inside, but I'm going to start with probably 600 when I got the backer, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to ensure that this is staying horizontal and will parallel with the trigger bow, and I'm just going to run it back and forth, getting rid of some of this coating, this finish on all three of these sides, and then I'm going to take the trigger track stone on the frame here, and I'm going to go in there and I'm going to run this through a couple of times and make sure I can get all the burrs out and stuff like that. Then I'm going to look at the sear. I'm going to do the same thing with the popsicle sticks. I'm going to get some of this and polish it up a little bit. I'm going to do the disconnect as well on both sides of this foot. One thing that I will talk about that I want to do is on this slide, although I have the head of this polished, I'm going to do it a little bit more, but I want to polish this recess that the disconnect rides in. I want to kind of make a relief up here in the front, just a little, and polish it, and then I'm going to polish the bottom side of this fire pin retainer, and the reason is for, as this slide goes back, this is going to glide a little easier, and I can see machine marks all along this strip, and I want to try and get some of that down, but I do want to try to bevel that out a little bit. That may be something that comes along after this course, so we'll go from there. I'm going to take a stone and I'm going to go, I'll probably take a 3000 grit, maybe 1500, and run it on the outside here on these pivot surfaces, on the hammer as well as on the pins. I'm going to go on the outside surface and make sure there's no high and low spots to drag, and then I'm going to do the spring I'm going to focus on the disconnector and the sear spring here, these legs, and that should be good to go. I will probably eventually polish the face of this hammer and see what I can get as far as the recoil. I can see marks on it where it's caught and it started to rub down the finish. And I will be back and do that, and I'll come back and we'll see where we're at. Okay, so now we're back. We've got somewhat polished trigger bow. I did the outside, and what I did is I also went over these edges on the top side and the back side, kind of knocked those down a little bit. But you can see it's not perfect, but it's I wanted to get that coating off. I did the strut, the bottom of the strut as well, and I did do a little bit on the face of the hammer. What else? Let's see, we did the sear spring, we did the disconnect leaf and the sear leaf. I did the fire pin retainer and got that done. I got the disconnect done, both the top side as well as the bottom, the feet. Sear was done in previous videos, but I did take 2000 grit and I went around the pins just to kind of make those a little easier and make sure there's no burrs or any kind of thing like that on those. So I didn't do anything with the slide. I haven't done anything with that yet. And I do want to polish the strut cup. I want to get it done as well. Or it would be the mainspring cap, I guess. But I'll do that later, because I want that. I don't want any binding up. So let me get this back together and we'll do a functions check, and I will go over what I want to do in the future. So now that I have this thing back together, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a 3 average pull. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply this Velcro to the grip safety. We'll see where we're at as far as after polishing trigger components. No feed source. I have snap caps here. Visually, physically inspect, clear. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to run, like I said, a three trigger pull average, and we will go and see where we're at after. Okay, so that was a 5-pound 12 ounce, which is a little bit more. Let's see. That was 5.5, and we'll do the last one and see what we can pull. $5.11. 5.9 was a 3-pull average. We'll go ahead and do a functions check. Remove the Velcro. lock to the rear, insert a magazine. I've got two snap caps, and we will perform our functions check. Let the slide go forward, place on safe, depress the grip safety, squeeze trigger, nothing happens. Drop safety, no grip safety, squeeze trigger, nothing should happen. Engage the grip safety, pull the trigger, hammer will fall. We'll leave the trigger pinned, and we'll drop or listen for a trigger reset. And then I'm going to put it on safe, and I want to do another drop test. Okay, and that is off of safe. We will depress the grip safety. Okay. Now we will do their final functions check. Listen for all the components. And we are complete. A couple things that I would like to do to this. I'm going to replace the grip panels. I'm going to go with VZ grips. I want to replace the grip safety probably with a Wilson Combat, and I want to hand fit these components to the frame. I'm going to replace the hammer. I want a skeletonized hammer. Again, it's going to be fit. I want to blend the slide. We're going to blend the grip safety. I'm going to replace the trigger probably with a Wilson Combat. But I think I'm going to leave this for the most part as it is. I don't see any reason to change something like this. I do want to make everything a little bit more smooth. I will probably do a little bit of lapping on the slide to the frame. Other than that, I think it's going to be pretty good. We'll do that sort of stuff later on, and we'll go from there. I am going to do the trigger though, because I want the adjustable over travel. So yeah, we'll see what happens in the future for this TSOS 1911 A1 service. Till next time.